Hey there, it's Johnberry5555, and welcome to my inaugural review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. In today's review, I'll be reviewing the first episode of Season 1, which is also called Strange New Worlds. So, before I begin, there's a few housekeeping things. For episode 2, expect that within 1 to 2 days of the episode dropping. This review is a bit late, but I hope not to choose that in the future, but just stay tuned. Also, hopefully I'll be able to do on camera instead of you guys just looking at the thumbnail the entire time. But we're doing that for this episode with this review because just this is going to be easier for me so I can actually get it out to you before the next episode drops, or I should say as the next episode is dropping, more or less. Okay, but let's actually go talk about the episode itself. First of all, I would like to say this is actually the first live-action This is the first live-action Star Trek series that I am actually watching as it comes out. I've been good with the animated shows, but I haven't gotten into Discovery or Picard yet, and I was too young for the other stuff. Well, not necessarily Enterprise, but I hadn't gotten into Star Trek when it was airing yet, and I was pretty young still. But anyhow, so this is the first one I'm watching as the episodes come out, so it's going to be pretty different. And yeah, just pretty different as a whole. But anyhow, I do want to say this episode looks very promising to me. A good, strong start to the series. They get some character exploration, some introduction to the world. And granted, we've always been introduced to the world of Star Trek because, it's a legacy franchise at this point. But I'm specifically talking about introduced to the world of Star Trek as portrayed in Discovery. So what I really like is how they're setting this up not to be some overarching story, but some episodic show with character development going across episodes. That's what I'm really excited for. Because what's a nice thing about episodic stories is you don't have to constantly raise the stakes for each season, like you do with story-long arcs in other shows. Because you always have to one-up the previous season, and that can work, but not always. It can really only work if you are planning on telling a 2 to 3 series story, and that's it. But for episodic stories, you can still have the occasional multi-episode story, the occasional two-parter, and you can even have it set the finale of each season something big. But because all the other episodes are not as big, you don't have to outdo the season 1 finale with season 2. And I hope they keep this episodic structure going for Strange New Worlds. Now, keep the character development consistent across the show. Show character development from one episode to the next. We already got hinted at with Pike, how his characterization here is building upon his characterization in Discovery. I haven't watched it, I do know a bit about what's going on there. Story-wise and all that, and character development-wise. So I do like that they're building off that. And it seems like they're doing the same thing with Spock. They're also building upon what we know of Spock. Same thing I think they're going to be doing with Uhura and this Chapel, which are the legacy characters that have, legacy and characters who've been introduced in other shows that we've really gotten development from. Number one, Una. We haven't gotten too much development of her yet, but we have gotten some hints here and there in Discovery and the show track, so I can't wait to see how they develop that. And of course, we got new characters. We have a returning legacy character who would have expected the brother of James T. Cook to appear to be a regular character on the show, Samuel Cook. I didn't. Now, is he going to be a regular character? I don't know, but we'll be learning about another Cook for a change, and potentially even see the two Cooks play off each other, which could be some quite interesting stories. But I've already talked about 4 minutes about all that other stuff. How about the story of episode 1 itself? And I gotta say, it's a cautionary story. It's doing what sci-fi does best. Using another alien world using a foreign concept, an alien concept, to teach us about ourselves. Now, I will say, it's not the strongest, because the thing is, they're painting the alien civilization that they're encountering in this episode as where we are right now, in 2022. That's what they're painting this alien society as, where we are. That's what they are culturally, politically. they just happened to have gotten looked at into space and see, hey, there's some interesting stuff going on. Let's first engineer what we're seeing. And they create a warp bomb rather than a warp drive. That's so good. And I feel like it could have done better if we actually, analogy-wise, because very much they wanted the message to be, it's not too late to fix your mistakes or your society for society to fix its mistakes, which I think is definitely a very good message, and which I think it would work good if, like, in, let's say, episode 5 or 6, I'm just guessing, or even season 2, they come back to this planet and see them overcoming those struggles. We got a little bit of a hint of that here with, essentially Pike doing that. I mean, he's living up to speak softly and carry a big stick and admit his energy. Like, they're not seeing it. I spoke softly. Well, I'm going to show them that I have a stick bigger than their sticks. And he shows off the Enterprise to get these two people to actually realize there's more going on. They can talk and all that, showing a positive example. But he also he showed positive example, but he also actually showed them a negative example, which is us only, in 2025? I mean, they do some retconning of the eugenics wars and all that, and definitely draw a line from what's currently happening in the United States to World War III. And there's some parts of that I'm like, I know what you're trying to do, but I wish you had done it slightly differently. Now I could be because of my own political biases, but, World War II begins in the was all that because in the United States, the liberals and conservatives disagree on freedoms. Well, I'm sorry, but recent developments coming out to the conservatives in the United States, before we raid them overturning it, and the language in that leaked draft, kind of sounds like they're not for freedom, only freedom for white men. So, yeah, not the best. Again, this is leaked draft, things could change. Not all conservatives are like that, but the fact that they're not, other conservatives are not standing up to those conservatives, the alt-right conservatives, kind of concerning. And they kind of glossed over that. Granted, when this episode was in development, I mean, they did not know all this stuff that was going to happen. But I feel like, they were trying to almost play both sides just not talking to each other, which is true, but I feel like maybe use a different country for that than the United States, where everything's so polarized, so divided, or even maybe use Vulcan as the example. I mean, Vulcan might have been a better example, and then I don't know which would have been the best story, but what I'm mainly trying to get at here is how they got it set up works good if, I think I'm using don't know quite what to say here, but it's a good example, good message, saying, trying to teach people that, hey, you guys are fighting each other over the same reasons, but I don't know if that's actually what's happening in the United States. It's not like, liberals and conservatives, traditional liberals and traditional conservatives, or even progressives among the traditional liberals, just can't agree on what to do and it's going to come to head. No, it's more of full democracy versus authoritarianism is what's really starting to take hold in what's happening in the United States. And again, they probably saw that, but saw that could be shaped. I feel like because they were not trying to angle American conservatives, that the analogy is falling flat, because they want a society where they're in conflict because they're just not communicating. That's not quite the entire problem here in America. There's a lot more complicating factors. That is definitely one, but it's not the only factor. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that the example falls flat because of recent developments that have occurred after the episode was made. Okay, I think I got my point across succinctly. But it's something I do hope, sci-fi does always a good job showing us our faults in another society, in an alien society. But what happens when the analogy that you're drawing fails because things have changed since you made your analogy? That's how you date things, and I feel like they accidentally dated themselves because they did not expect American conservatives, the alt-right in America, to continue going down the authoritarian path. I don't think they were anticipating that, and I think that's why this message is not falling flat for me, but falling ineffective. Feeling like it's not going to work out as well because of those changes in American society, American political society since the episode was made. But I really do appreciate the message, showing this alien society is on the path to correct its mistakes. The mistakes that Earth did not get to correct in the Star Trek universe. Some society making, it's kind of, because with World War III and Star Trek, it kind of very much makes Star Trek a utopian story following a dystopian story when you really think about it, with First Contact being the turnaround point for that. But definitely I hope they do continue to explore those themes in it and with other alien societies and show us a mirror to ourselves, but maybe not in such a way that they'll date themselves, which is actually my own problem. Is the example is kind of dating itself because of recent current events that they would not have known about when making the episode. Which, I think, yeah, it's an understandable one to make, and I probably would have made the same mistake myself if I was involved. But yeah, I know where they're trying to go for that, and granted, it seems like Star Trek, every time a new series comes out, the divergent point between our universe and Star Trek's universe changes. Oh well, what can you do? But that is actually where I'm going to end this review. Didn't talk too much about some of the other things, like the new characters and all that, which I do want to say I did greatly appreciate. Though for some of the new characters, I want to see more of them before I form a good, solid opinion on them. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. And as always, if you haven't subscribed or followed the links down below yet in the channel, feel free to do so. Also, check me out on Patreon to help support me. All the normal YouTube stuff. Just check the links down below. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are.